One of the things that we learned over the years is that the sequence and the order in which you go in really makes a big difference when you're growing your business. The personality of the business will mirror the personality of its owner. And that could be a good thing. And in sometimes, Gennady, it's not a good thing, right?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, today's my guest is Mr. Carl Gould. He is a serial entrepreneur. When I say serial, for me, it's like serial killer immediately comes into my mind, but you're a serial entrepreneur. The gentleman whose major passion is helping small businesses, mentoring them, educating them, helping them in any way he can. He has created probably the largest mentoring organization in the world. And I was surprised looking at the figures that 50,000 companies are involved almost on daily basis in 35 countries, on 6 continents. And you personally coached, I think, 7,000 people. And this is really incredible number because I know how hard it is. And these people, not on sort of psychology of marriages, but it's on small business problems. So how to make small business successful. Carl has written several books. One of them was co-authored with Ken Blanchard, One Minute Manager, famous author, and Stephen R. Covey. At the same time, he's written 2 of his own books, and one of them became really a success. It's a bestseller. Unfortunately, it has never been translated into Russian-speaking countries. I mean, something which will be corrected very shortly. And the book is called 7 Stages of Successful Business. Is right. 7 stages of successful business. How to grow from startup to 7-digit or 7-figure in less than 3 years. Book is absolutely like a roadmap or manual for small businesses. Absolutely wonderful. I've read the English version and I really, really strongly recommend the book. Carl took part in all the major TV networks and he is a speaker. He's received International Business Award in London. He's Entrepreneur of the Year in the United States, etc., etc. So he's really a well-known guy in the area of small business, which is very close to my heart, being a small entrepreneur myself. So my first question would be related to the 7 stages of successful business. Can you please tell us more about that? What are those stages and how they are relevant to the current economic condition?
Yeah, thank you, Gennady. Thanks for having me. So the 7 stages was a blueprint or a roadmap, like you said, for how to grow a business. And one of the things that we learned over the years is that the sequence and the order in which you go in really makes a big difference when you're growing your business. In other words, you could be doing a lot of the right things, but if you're doing them in the wrong sequence, you won't always get your result. So, for example, if you were to put systems in too early, that can slow down the growth of the business. So we found that there's a very specific sequence or a path that you should follow. So we came up with the 7 stages because our research about companies showed that there were 7 very distinct steps that companies go through in their development. And the first one, stage 1, is called the strategic planning stage. And that's when you get all of your great ideas out of your head and onto paper, and you make your business an inspiring and compelling vision for the future. And then when you start bringing on clients and start winning projects, you go to stage 2, and that's the specialty stage. And the specialty stage is when you become an expert in your niche. You have determined what your thought leadership is and that your expertise is, and then you establish yourself as that expert, that go-to resource in your particular niche. That's very, very important because you want to be able to charge the maximum fees possible, because as you start to bring on a team and put in systems and build your organization, you'll need the elasticity, we call it, or the flexibility in your pricing to be able to charge more as needed. As you get busier and you start to need more of a team, you'll go to stage 3. Stage 3 is the synergy stage, where you build a team of people that you're working elbow to elbow and you are working side by side to get the job done. They're your implementation team. Okay. Now, stage 3 to stage 4 is very, very critical. And this is the area, we call it the graveyard of most small businesses, because many businesses fail to make the transition from stage 3 to stage 4. And so we call it the miracle 1%, because it's a miracle if you can get from stage 3 to stage 4. But if you get to stage 4, that's the systems stage. You know, in stage 1, 2, and 3, you can grow your company, but you can't scale your company. But starting in stage 4, you can now scale your business. And the difference between growth and scale is growth, you can hustle and work harder and you can expand your business. But you, starting with stage 4, you can scale it because you're using systems now. You're automating, you're duplicating your efforts, using technology and equipment and processes to allow the business to grow without your involvement as the owner. So there you are, you're stage 4, you're systematizing. Okay. Now you move to stage 5. Stage 5 is what we call sustainability. So think like a franchise. You've got multiple locations and multiple products and multiple licenses, dealership, distributorship, or multiple offices. And at stage 5, the systems have taken over. And you know you're a good stage 5 company when you're known for something other than your product or your service. For example, you might be well known for the experience you deliver to your clients, or the convenience, or the the locations that are very strategic. Okay. Once your systems are taken over and doing really well, you move to stage 6. And that's where an asset is born. We say that's the saleability stage. And you have maximized the saleability of your business. You've built your management team. And when you go to sell your business, you get the maximum for that sale. Okay. And then the last stage, stage 7, is what we call the succession stage. And that's when you're ready to transition the business to the next generation. And you fire the employee number 1. That's when you get to fire yourself as CEO. You put in a new CEO, and the business not only does equally as well, in some cases it does better because you've put in the next generation of leadership.
Right. Well, it sounds like very technologically, thing like bum, 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 all these stages.
Yeah.
But do you think it's really feasible for some small, owner, like who started a business, startup?
Mm-hmm.
I understand the first one very well because I experienced it myself. When you have a lot of knowledge and you try to put systems straight away, not allowing enough flexibility at the first stage. And what you said, that it can be a killer as well. So you
That's
have
right.
to really to go from small things to bigger things.
Yeah. So in our model, you can be a stage 3 business and be as big as a stage 7 business. So you don't have to go through all 7 stages. For example, if you are a very small business, medical doctor, a consultant, a lawyer, an accountant, you can be a stage 2 or stage 3 business for your entire career, and you can do quite well at it. And so you don't have to become a 4, 5, 6, or 7. You can become a stage 2 or stage 3 and do very, very well. Some business, for example, Apple computers, very popular company around the world. They're a stage 4 business, and they're one of the largest businesses in the world. A stage 5 business will be a franchise, like Starbucks or McDonald's or or Walmart. Walmart's not a franchise, but they're a chain. A stage 6 business will be like Uber or Amazon. These are companies that grow by acquisition, right? They're rolling up. They're always buying and accumulating more businesses. A stage 7 business will be like Microsoft. Microsoft would be an example of a stage 7 business. Virgin would be another example. So it depends on how you want to grow your company, where you go to. So if you're a startup business right now, you're just getting started, you're likely to become a stage 2 or a stage 3 business. That's where most of the businesses are. 90% of businesses will remain at stage 2 or stage 3. Only 20% of business or thereabouts will become 4, 5, 6, or 7.
Mhm. So basically, yeah, I understand now. So it's not necessarily, it's not necessary to grow, in fact. And I liked very much in your book that you were mentioning that it very much depends on the owner personality. On
That's
the
right.
Yeah, and that's interesting how personality is reflected in your business and your business growth, even in your business aspirations, because you're the driving force, right?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, that was one of our early revelations. We said the personality of the business will mirror the personality of its owner. And that could be a good thing. And then sometimes, Gennady, it's not a good thing, right? So every business owner has strengths, right? They might be really good visionary, very persuasive, very influential, very charismatic, in which case the business will be very good at selling and marketing. That'll always be a real strength of theirs. But that also means that they might have a blind spot. So if somebody's really good at that part of the business, they might not be very good at process or detail.
Exactly. Mhm.
Conversely, the business owner could be a really good operator, very technical, process driven, detail or analytical, and they start their business and they have high quality products and services, but they're not very good at selling themselves. So there's always this balance that you have to create, and you have to understand where your strengths are, where your blind spots are, and that way you can compensate for that with technology, systems, other people, or maybe you have a strategic alliance with others, so you can find that balance and be a well-rounded company.
Right. Well, it's the same sort of situation when we talk about sales. When we say, well, your personality the kind of affects the level of your sales. So if you want to sell big, you have to become a bigger personality. The idea that small operator, small salesperson can sell, for million and billion to some CEO of some company is ridiculous. It's like one
That's
in
right.
a million. So you have to grow as a personality, and then you can reach the same level of with your buyer, and then there's
Sure.
to sell. So the same is here as well. Mhm.
Yeah, that's right. And what's important is to understand who your ideal client is. Because
Mhm.
like you said, if you're a small entrepreneur just getting started, even if a large company wanted you to help them, you probably don't have the capacity or the infrastructure to help them. You might not be big enough to even service that customer. So you have to match your size with the size of the client. And
Mhm.
then when you get bigger, then you can go after the slightly larger business, then bigger, and then bigger again. So yes, it's very, very much a process. And that's why we laid out the 7 stages, because if you're really small and you try to do a project with somebody who's really big, you might not even have the cash to do it. Like you can get a project that is so big it puts you out of business.
Mhm.
You wanted to grow
And you're right.
and you went grow, and now you're gone because you didn't have the money to buy the materials or support the project that you're trying to fulfill.
Yeah, that always kind of for me it was always fascinating when large million zillion dollar companies like air companies are going out of business. You feel well they've got all the money in the world and they go out of business because they
Yeah.
either grow too fast or market shrinks too fast. And I know, for example, this idea of having, let's say, several phases in the entrepreneur self, being a creative, being a visionary, at the same time having
Hmm.
systems and be good at accounting. It's very, very tough on business owner to have all these roles. And very often in some books and literature, it's suggested to have other people to delegate.
Yes.
Like one will be, seller, creative, inspiring. Another will be like accounting type, etc. But what my experience tells me when I worked a lot in Eastern Europe, that people are very much afraid of allowing anybody into their business, because they say if you have a partner, that the probability of your small business going bust will grow. And it's geometrical progression. The more partners you have, the more likely your business will fail. Is it correct observation, or is it just?
Well, if you have a partner, the chances, the odds that you will have problems with that partnership and it could hurt the business is actually very high. You're absolutely right. You're in many cases you're better off not having a partner. Hiring people that are executive level or vice president level, where you remain the owner and you remain in control. It's almost always better when there's one chief and a lot of Indians, you know, and there's one vision for the company. But then and that's where in stage 3 we call it synergy, because everybody's in alignment with the vision. We agree on the goals. And so if you are the owner, you take charge, it's your vision, and then you can delegate aspects of that vision to the accounting person, to the salesperson, to the operations person. Then you have a well-rounded team and your chances of succeeding are much, much higher.
Right.
If you have 2 partners, they're never going to agree. And then there's going to be one side of the business that's loyal to this partner, one side of the business that's loyal to that partner, and it's going to be very awkward. And we deal with partnership issues all the time, because at some point, in the beginning, they're kind of on the same page, but at some point they start going in opposite directions.
Mm-hmm.
And what you find is the partnership will dissolve. And that's when you hear about arguments. And, if you look at musical bands for a moment, the Beatles couldn't stay together. The Police, the big acts, they couldn't stay together because their vision for where the band needed to go, they couldn't stay together.
Right. Yeah. So as you said, it's better to be one chief and a lot of Indians. Sounds a little bit patronizing, but that's, I think, very true. So that's why there are a lot of family businesses. With family, it's slightly different. It's like blood-related, owners. So it's slightly more stable. However, it still can go, separate ways.
Yeah. Any business can go wrong. They have to make sure that they have alignment around what they're trying to accomplish. And that's why doing the exercise in stage 1 of creating your core values, your mission statement, your vision statement, your why, your purpose statement, that everybody agrees on that. Not everyone's going to like it fully, but you have to all agree on it, because that way when times get tough or we run into a tough situation like COVID, and you have to remind yourself, why are we doing this? Why are we in this business? What are we trying to accomplish? Who are we trying to serve? At least everybody is on the same page.
All right. And it's not just, it's in the writing. So there are no kind of different readings of the same thing. So people understand. So
That's right.
Everybody is on the same page,
right.
as they say. Right.
Same page, same book. Come on, let's remind ourselves, this is why we're doing this. And that's why we recommend to our clients that they not only agree on it, but they make large posters or signs and they post it everywhere in their office. So they're always reminded, oh yeah, that's our vision. That's our mission. Here are our goals. And they post their dashboard or their goals or what their strategic plan is. So they're always reminded, yes, this is what we have all agreed upon.
There are a lot of talks about, customer way, customer satisfaction, even in the recent book I've read, obsession with the customer. So how much in your model, this focus on the customer, because I have the feeling when I read the book that it's important, which goes across all 7 stages basically, but you don't explicitly show it like, yes, it's customer focus.
Yeah, starting in about 2005 or thereabouts, the way people buy changed dramatically. So the transaction, the purchase, when somebody buys something from you, that's now in control of the consumer. It used to be We built a product. We told you to come. We told you when to come, and you just bought whatever we made for you. But now with the internet and the ability to design and customize, the purchase is now in control of the buyer. So at every stage, you have to be considering, what does the buyer want? What are their needs? What are their complaints? What are their desires? And then you build a series of options, like a menu, like a restaurant menu, for them to pick and choose. When you go into a restaurant, they hand you the menu. They do two things that's very, very important. Number one is they have items on the menu for every appetite. So whatever you're in the mood for, you want salad, you want meat, you want fish, you want cheese or dairy, there are options there. And the second thing they do that's very good is they have something for every budget. So you could be the kind of person that's not going to spend a lot tonight, and you can still go to that restaurant. And you could be the person that's going to spend a lot tonight, and you could still go to that restaurant. So as long as you are, as a business, catering to the budget and the appetite of your clients, you should be able to go through as many of those stages as you want very profitably. It's when you stop doing that, that's where the business gets in trouble.
But some people are saying that you have to have your niche, small segment, and where you can excel, and then ignore others. But it's not probably the right. That way you can cut off a lot of your customers.
Yeah. So every business should establish its niche, right? Now, a niche is big. There is more business to be won in any niche than you could handle in your lifetime.
Right.
So if I want to work in the construction field, I can work with small, mid-sized, large, and government. There's billions and billions and billions worth of work you can do there. If I'm working with just women or just men or just youth or middle age or seniors, any one of those, there is so much business to be had. Like, if you think about it, entrepreneurship is actually a small niche. We think of, wow, everybody's a business owner. They're not. There's only 1 in 15 people are a business owner, right? And in some countries, it's 1 in 25. So just working with entrepreneurs, you're cutting out more than 90% of the market. I mean, they're only 6 to 9% of the population are entrepreneurs. So it's interesting, but there's so many,
right?
30 million in the United States alone, 4 million in England. I mean, you can go country by country. That's a huge population, but it is actually a very small niche.
Right. Well, absolutely right. So when you think, and especially internet gives this, availability of having an access to the world, and then this coronavirus showed us that we are really so connected and so dependent on each other. So, but now you mentioned coronavirus. How do you? I mean, I'm quite interested in really to know, and maybe to give some, if you could give some advices to small businesses, especially. Sure. Coronavirus is going to end, hopefully. I mean, doesn't look that way, but I think, at least psychologically, I feel much better than 2 months ago when I was scared to death. Now it's the same kind of numbers, but I feel much more resilient inside. Mass media calmed down a little bit. So it's like, I think it's getting better. So what about post-coronavirus period? What you would suggest, maybe what to do small business now and then after?
Yeah, so the coronavirus, the COVID pandemic has been really brutal on business. It's been very swift. In 4 months, it has transformed us as a world. I mean, there's never before in our history a time where we all went through the same thing at the same time everywhere in the world, regardless of your race or your level of affluence or type of economy. We've never seen it. Nobody's ever gone through this before. Within 4 months, this has shut down the world for a period of time. And so we have the pre-COVID world and the post-COVID world. And the way you do business in the post-COVID world will never be the same as the pre-COVID world. And so there are a number of things that you need to do that right away that you should be thinking about in the post-COVID world when you're doing your business. So number one is for going forward with every product you have, with every service you provide, you should offer a contact-free experience, right? So this interview is contact-free. Sometimes we would have done it in person, but in this case, we're doing it online. It's
You're in New York,
contact-free.
right? At the moment, you are in New York.
I'm in New York, and the listener can be anywhere in the world. If this was a seminar or this was an event, we'd all be in the same place. And I think we're going to have events again. That will happen again. But there's now the option. I can do this online, or we can meet in person. Okay. So you want to offer that contact-free experience.
Right.
Now, with your product or with your service, one of the new dynamics, the new normal, as they say, is the new office environment, where there's going to be new rules. You're going to have less deliveries, less strangers or outsiders coming into an office. So if you're a service provider and you do work at businesses, you're going to have to offer an after hours option. You can't come in and do your cleaning or your equipment repair or your construction during 9 to 5. They're going to want you to come after 5 o'clock and be done before 9 a.m. So you're going to have to give that option, the off-peak option, to service the customer, right? You're going to have protocols in place for sanitizing, for wearing safety equipment and testing, temperature, daily temperature testing, frequent coronavirus testing. And you're going to have to give more options. You're going to have to give the client more and more options for them, for regardless of, safety and others, but more and more options for how they can purchase your product. Because here's what COVID did. COVID made a clear separation between the standardized economy and the customized economy. In other words, if I'm about to buy something, if I'm going to buy, let's see, where is it? If I'm going to buy this marker, I already know the marker. I know what it does. I've used them before. I don't have to go to a physical store and buy it. This is a standard product. So I can just go online and I'll buy that. So any physical store that sells a product like this is going to be in trouble. It's not going to last much longer. However, if I want to go out and buy a pair of glasses, I need to go and have my eyes tested. I need to choose the frames. I need to pick out the style. I need to make sure it fits. That's a customized purchase. I will go to a physical location for that. And I know you can buy online. There's stores that will sell you Warby Parker and Zenny and other ones where you could buy glasses. But this would be an example of a customized experience. This would be an example of a standardized experience. So this is going to be internet-based. This will be the new face of retail, where I can come in, it's interactive, and I will get consultation, and they will tell me if something fits or not. Or if I'm buying a suit, I will go in for that customized experience. And so the new face of retail is going to change dramatically.
Right.
And we're starting to see that already.
And even if, let's say, with the glasses, I'm sure that there'll be still kind of procedure for making the actual physical contact as limited as possible. So you could do a lot of stuff online, like to choose your frame, to maybe for eye kind of, how do you call testing? It's you have to go, there. And even that, there are a lot of software now which is developing that can test your eyesight, without going to the doctor. So it's interesting. And I think there is another way of having a lot of opportunities for small businesses if they would think it from that point, that less interaction, physical contact, so that's opportunity for small businesses.
Yeah, the nice thing about technology is that it allows a smaller business to be a bigger player.
Mhm.
So many Central European countries, especially Estonia is a great example, have chosen to um, bolster their broadband and their capability so that they can be more of a player in the technological field, where as you grow up you get a laptop all through school. That's one of the ways to level the playing field and allow a smaller player to play on a bigger stage. And if I, like you said, I can become a very big eyeglass company if I use the software that allows people to figure out what their eyesight is. And then if I give them a shopping cart on my website, they can they can choose and design their frames.
And then if you
So
add up, for example, what Tony Shea does in his Zapas, that you can return it back in
that's right.
numerous times and at very customer friendly call centers, etc. So this is really, I think, the possibility of really kind of way forward, whether we like it or not. I think one thing which I see with technology, before technology was not unclear which one, that's why technological stock was the most risky. You don't know which technology will become, front runner. Now it's even more so because everybody will move. They say it's technological exponential growth. How to
Yeah.
identify which technology go forward and which will be successful?
Yeah.
It's impossible, I think, even to predict.
It is. Although if you're a small entrepreneur, you have a much better chance of survival if you go down the customized experience route,
Mhm.
because the customization implies that you are nimble, you're agile, and you can change quickly to the preferences of the buyer.
Mhm.
If you're a standardized player like Amazon or Zappos, you have to have large scale, you have to have huge business, you have to have a lot of money in order to do it. But if you're customized, you can say, all right, well, let's say I'm a glass company, a glasses company. I can say, I am going to appeal to I'm going to appeal to entrepreneurs, and I'm going to create a line of entrepreneurial glasses. I don't know, entrepreneurial glasses. And so I can start talking to entrepreneurs and I can say, what do you want in your glasses? Okay, well, we do a lot of Zooms, so the frames have to be small. The light can't reflect, right? You have to find the features that entrepreneurs would like. They have to be black and silver because that's the colors we like as entrepreneurs. And then you can say, all right, I can build that. So I can build a smaller set of options or customize to you. And then but my margins will be high and I can build my reputation within that niche. So your ability to pivot as a small business is your advantage. Amazon can't pivot very quickly. They can't do it. Zappos can't. Walmart, Asda, they can't. Virgin, they can't pivot that quickly. They have to move. They move much slower. So that gives a great opportunity for a customized company to offer specialized services, and they can grow very, very quickly, and they can get market share very quickly if they do that.
That's very encouraging because really we don't have to conquer the whole world. I mean, the small business need their own there's a niche, their own customers, and that's
Yeah,
enough to grow, to make
yeah.
a wonderful living, to satisfy a lot of people, and your own, kind of create your own well-being.
Don't try to boil the ocean.
Yeah, don't
You
try
know,
to.
one cup at a time. You
Mhm.
know, if
Excellent.
you think about it, if you're a small business, you just need you need 1,000 people who would be upset if you went out of business,
Mhm.
right? So for most clients, for most small businesses, you only need 10, 20, 30 customers, right? If you're as you grow, you might have a couple of hundred customers, but you want 1,000 people that are paying attention to you.
Mhm.
That's not that hard. You can do that through social media, through inbound marketing, through your website, through cold calling, through doing seminars, through doing webinars, by personal networking. You can reach 1,000 people. If you're a small business owner, you're a consultant, an accountant, a mechanic. You just have to go. If you're a physical location, put a pin on the map. draw a circle and say, can I reach 1,000 people in that circle?
Mm.
If you're on Facebook, right, for example, or LinkedIn or another social media platform, do a profile of who your customer is, and it'll give you this great list. And you're going to say, can I reach 1,000 of those people? Because if I can reach 1,000 and if I can capture their attention, then I can certainly get 5, 10, 20, or 30 people that will buy my product or service on a regular basis.
It's interesting what you say, because I'm listening, because I started this new business, interviewing people, and I've reached about 1,000 something, viewings during a month. But I thought, well, it's still too small, and people are really, how can I say, I have to work hard to keep them interested, because there is not much loyalty. That's another thing which brings, internet, that there is a kind of, people can switch easily and without feeling guilty. If you stop buying from your small kind of business, some farmer, you would feel, kind of uncomfortable passing his
That's right.
stand. But with internet, okay, well, Gennady, bye-bye, and I'll start watching. So
that's true. That's one of the maybe it's a bad thing, maybe it's a good thing, but certainly that's one of the dynamics of the economy we're in now. Starting in 2005, loyalty, really 2008, 2009 with the global financial crisis, it's, you could blame the businesses, because the businesses, in order to survive, they sometimes had to break their promises to their customers. They said, hey, we'll be in business. Hey, we'll give you that discount. And then overnight, they were put in a position where they might not have been in business, or they couldn't be open all the times that they wanted. So they kind of broke their promise to the customer, and that has made the customer very skeptical. And loyalty is no longer as strong as it once was. And you do have to work really hard to keep that audience entertained and informed and engaged. There's no question about it. You're absolutely right. It is an ongoing process, and if you stop, they're going away.
Right. And here comes, another thing like personal brand. So it's not the product, but personal brand, and what you can offer, as long as you've established this sort of trust, and then you can do other things. I mean, but it's fascinating. I think we live really in an interesting time. And if we take it really like something, well, it's given, we cannot change it. There is no point in grieving, thinking about good old times, and just move forward, grasp the technology, learn constantly. I think that's the way, really, for small business, for everybody, really, to survive. Prosper.
In the future, the history books are going to write about this time. There's never been anything like it. Nobody has gone through what we're going through right now. So yes, the fact that you embrace that we are in a new time, find out what your customer wants, look at those 7 stages, follow the steps accordingly, find out what they want, understand what their needs are, and then go out and find 1,000 people that are interested in what you do. And inside that 1,000 is your customer base.
Right. Wonderful advice.
And you'll be successful.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I mean, your energy always, nights, 6 o'clock your time, and you dress up. But look, very important is you have to have proper sleep. I'm reading a book now on the importance of sleep. You have to have 8 hours, they say, no matter what. I mean, otherwise you're to bed.
I try. I go to bed. I try to go to bed at the same time, but I wake up and it's 4 o'clock in the morning and I'm wide awake. And I'm like, all right, so I'm working on the 8 hours, Gennady. I get 6 maybe. I'm not quite at 8 yet, but I'm trying.
I think humans are so diverse. I think I don't believe that 8 is for someone it's maybe 3 is enough or 4 is enough, as long as you have this, energy inside. And well, thank you very much, Carl. Thank you for the lovely interview. Or lovely, maybe it's too soft word, for business-like, for very, really good advice. Yes, because small business needs that drive, and they have to be strong and believe in themselves.
This time will test your character. You really got to believe in what you're doing. You've got to be passionate about what you do, because this time will test you like no other time, and this will shake out the weak entrepreneur or the person who's not committed. The person who's going to win is the person who's fully committed to their business and to their customer.
Right. There'll be a lot of gaps, I think, in the market, which can be filled
No
with
question.
the right people. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. No question about it.
Thank you very much, Carl. Thank you. Pleasure talking to you. And hopefully we'll meet after coronavirus, and then we'll have another interview if you don't mind.
For sure. That would be great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.